I have filmed a lot of bass underwater in and around vegetation over the last 3 years, and I have mentioned this behavior in some of these videos. What really struck me as I was walking around this morning is that I see this every single time I film bass near vegetation. Every time, and around different types of vegetation. This behavior has been observed on multiple lakes during multiple times of year. So part of my question to you after you see this is, why do you think this is? I have my thoughts, but I am very interested to hear what your experiences have found as well. As we look at this footage, it is extremely clear that bass are very interested in looking down when swimming around vegetation. They may swim straight for a bit, then they pause or slow down and tip downwards and look through the vegetation at an angle towards the lake bed. I have watched it again and again and again. Sometimes this has been filmed during late spring or early summer, like this footage here around panfish beds, but other times I have filmed this in late summer and even into the fall. The behavior is so consistent and I see it so often that it is something that definitely needs to be taken into account when fishing around grass and weeds. Now, you may notice in about all of the footage, there is young of the year bait. But here's the question I have for you. If the majority of the bait fish are above the vegetation in more open water, why do you think the bass are so focused on looking down through the vegetation? If you look at some of this footage carefully, you will clearly see little panfish down in and around the weeds, but the majority of them are higher in the water column. Are these little sunfish easier for the bass to catch that they're down farther? I wouldn't think so, but clearly something is going on. Is it because this potential prey is more isolated and easier for the bass to pick out just one instead of the misdirection caused by a large school of little fish? When I showed the video of this happening early last summer while sunfish were bedding, a lot of viewers felt the bass were keyed in on looking down at other potential food sources that were raiding the nests of the sunfish. And even though I never filmed any footage of that happening, it most definitely could have been the case. But this later summer and fall footage of the same thing happening is interesting, even when there are no panfish beds around. Now, I love fishing the tops of weed beds with things like swim jigs, bladed jigs, crankbaits, etc., but I have started to spend a lot more time focusing on bottom bouncing presentations in the vegetation than I have in the past, just because of this footage. Now, my lures may not always reach the bottom, but they drop far enough into the weeds that if there are any bass in the area looking down, my lures are active in their line of sight. And I must say, so far the results have been good. But of course, my curiosity has me wondering, why is this such a dominant or prevalent behavior by bass around vegetation? Drop your thoughts on this down below. Now, I have viewers all the time ask me, how can they support the channel? Well, if you like bass behavior, one way to do it is through my Bass Behavior Bundle membership. I have 30 videos on there currently, 2 more going on this month. Join us for a month, 2 months, or whatever. The support is greatly appreciated. And hey, if you would like to watch a video that goes over some potential reasons why we may miss bites as bass anglers, go ahead and check this one out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.